Hello and welcome to another League of Legends video, and in this one we are going to be talking about champion pools. However, in this video, instead of coming at it from the exact same angle as last year, I want to add and iterate to the information that I've already given you. That's right, we are going to be talking about one-tricking versus being a meta slave versus creating a custom champion pool that may or may not suit all your needs at any given moment. Now, earlier this season I talked about how to pick your main champion, and when you combine that with last year's champion pool video, you should have almost all the information you need, and with this video, hopefully you do. I will make a playlist so you can see all of them. I will link them below and all the good stuff. Now, this is a role agnostic video. I talk very generally about champions. I will use junglers as an example because that's what this channel is. But if you play other roles, fear not, the video is for you as well. So as always, if you do enjoy these videos and are looking forward to more Season 12 content, please consider liking and of course subscribing. Patreon has coaching signups and coaching VODs. I will now be streaming every week on Twitch, so I'm going to link that below as well. And without further hesitation, let's begin construction. In this one, you need to assess how you actually want to play the game. So I'm going to take a bit more of a liberal and free-flowing approach to this, hopefully with enough visual effects to keep your mind focused and interested, because I understand everyone in the modern day and age wants everything spoon-fed to them directly into their brain. But the first thing we need to talk about is one-tricking. Now, we've all seen the one-tricks who get challenger with this and that. I've made a Taric jungle video. I've played Ornn and Zyra jungle myself. In fact, I played Rengar jungle for 700 games in Season 4, and at the start of that season, I got flamed every single lobby because he was, quote-unquote, a top laner. And he was not a jungler. Riot had to buff him specifically to make it so. And just as if Jean-Luc Picard had commanded it, Riot did. The thing is, the benefit to one-tricking and why so many players end up in weird ranks and good ranks and high ranks and various different servers with the most random things you've ever seen is because they are the ones that truly, and I mean truly, understand everything about this champion. Now, understanding how a champion moves, plays, builds, itemizes, optimizes, what their win conditions might be at various different points, that's only part of the picture. The other part of the picture is putting all of that into your muscle memory so that you can learn every single matchup, good and bad, and know how to play around it. This is the true definition of limit testing, because by getting high elo with one champion that you have spammed in either one position or all positions, you would have had to play through thousands and thousands and thousands, actually millions of scenarios. However, you're saying, but what if I don't want to be a filthy, dirty one-trick? And I would say, well, that would probably make you a better player. One-tricks, while very good at their champion and good players in their own right, are not the most well-rounded and can be quite frustrating when they get banned out by streamers and so on. Although if they were so afraid, they shouldn't ban it. Although if you don't, you've got a dude with, 5 million points on a champion, how do you match up against it when they know exactly what you're going to do and you have no idea what your jungle does? The end result, though, is you are very limited in terms of what you can actually play. The better one-tricks to sort of emulate are the ones who play multiple positions. Now, for example, I can play Zyra top, mid, obviously support, obviously I play Zyra jungle a lot, and of course I can play it in the typical AD carry position, but obviously I'm playing AP, I'm not running Blade of the Ruined King Zyra. What is the true benefit of actually playing like this, but not to the full extent of what one-tricks usually do? By that I mean is, don't necessarily one-trick a champion and one-trick it only, but spam a champion as if you were a one-trick for a certain period of time. Playing 100 games of a champion, no matter what, not dodging, just playing through every single game you can possibly play from whatever position you want to play the champion. For example, if it's jungle Zyra, it doesn't matter. If it's simply Warwick jungle like normal or Rengar top lane, it doesn't matter. You will learn significantly more about that champion and how to maximize it and master it than if you were to, say, rotate your champion pool of 3 frequently. But now you're confused because I just linked together one-tricking with having a custom champion pool. But what does it mean, Virkayu? Well, it basically means when you create your custom champion pool, and yes, we're onto that section now, the best way to learn those champions and maximize your mastery on them for the time that you are with them is to spam them as if you were a one-trick. This is the best way to become better at not only your role, but the champions you play. So hypothetically, if you picked your champions from the How to Pick Your Champion main video, and let's say you stuck out with Karthus, Evelynn, and Fiddlesticks, I'd say, well, that's a very interesting collection of champions, and according to last year's champion pool video, they're very, very similar, so your coverage should random things happen. But what if you need AD? What if you need someone who's a bit more fightery and tanky? If you played them like one-tricks, no matter what scenarios, it simply would not matter. And this is something that's focused on way too much for low elos. No, you do not need one tank, one AD, and one AP champion in your pool. Is it good? Sure. Do you have to? No. If you are so damn good at a playstyle, but you can spread it across multiple champions that are very much dittos of each other, analogs of each other, then what's the problem? Because you understand how to maximize that champion's playstyle, and of course you spammed 100 games of Fiddlesticks, Evelynn, and Karthus, all of a sudden you know anything and everything that might be coming your way, and how to navigate not only winning matchups, but also losing matchups. How do you think Zyra jungle works? I put it in my pool, I spammed it whenever the hell I wanted it, and now I understand every single matchup and how to use a champion which I limit tested a bottom lane before in an off-meta role. So choosing your champion is of course the first thing. Deciding whether or not you want something very similar or a little bit different is the second thing. And then when you're creating your custom champion pool, the chestnut of wisdom, if you will, is to learn it as if you are going to be a one-trick. And what happens is when the meta ends up being a little bit unfortunate, what happens when the meta ends up being a little too bad for the champion and you wish to take it out of the rotation of your immediate champion pool, guess what? You can, and you can substitute in another one. And what's very interesting about that? Well, all of a sudden, if you do that over multiple years, as in my case, this is how I've always played the game, I've spammed things I love, I've spammed them no matter what. I've learned all the pros and cons about them in the jungle position and of course by extension other positions, because I come from a time where we had to call our roles in champion select and it wasn't given to us, so we just had to be better players. That's a whole different video. What can happen is you suddenly have 10, 20, maybe 30 champions that you've played like a one-trick at one time or another that you can pick up whenever you need. This takes time, this takes dedication, this takes patience and practice. For those of you who simply do not want to distribute 1 million games a season to make this worthy of your time, it doesn't really matter in the end, does it? Because instead of having 20, 30, 40, 50 champions that you can play with your eyes closed, you might just simply have 5 to 10. And if you know what, if you spam them and you learn everything about them, that's absolutely fine. And more than likely, because you've chosen your mains and your champions based upon those other videos according to your needs, I do recommend variety. I do recommend having champion playstyles that not only agree with each other, but also make you stretch yourself as a player. Understanding how to play as a tank, an AP assassin, an AD marksman, all of these things make you better players. But what this will allow you to do is actually carefully craft your champion pool based upon whatever the meta might be and what you actually want / feel like playing. At the end, I will give you a good sort of breakdown of what I think the course of action should be, either for new players or experienced players if you have no idea what to play, so hold on to your donkeys, we'll get there eventually. But what does this all imply for the meta slave? We've got the one-tricks just playing Shaka for no particular reason other than that they hit live and getting to high elo and they have no interest in playing anything else. That's absolutely fine. I mean, it's not, but it is. And then you have players like me who will say, you know, I love Ornn, I'm gonna spam Ornn. Hey, I like Warwick, I'm gonna spam Warwick. Hey, I love Evelyn, I love Volibear, I love Rek'Sai, yada yada, I'm gonna spam them, and all of a sudden, you've got a YouTube channel and you're jungling off meta all the time. Or you simply have people who are enthusiasts and will always have the same 3 to 5 champions working in and out. And then you have the meta slaves. What is the strongest champion that I need to play in order to climb and win with the most ease? You're not looking for a difficult time, you're looking to curb stomp every single enemy jungler that's against you. All of their jungle belong to you. All of the laners' deaths are onto you. You are the 1v9, you are the carry because you are playing whatever is the most giga turbo strong. In short, what allows you to go fisting with the most power. This is where things can get a little blurry because you can play a champion. Let's say, for example, hypothetically, that we have a Rek'Sai, Jarvan, and Elise meta. This would indicate that we are very much in an early game meta that's focused on a lot of ganking and snowballing. Now, if this meta lasts for a very long time, you will get quite proficient at these champions, but if it's a very short meta and the metas are shifting quite quickly, you won't really get the same expertise and refinement of your champion mechanics and win conditions as if you were, say, a one-trick or someone creating a custom champion pool and sort of surviving throughout the metas rather than looking to abuse it. What this does do for you, though, is really play to the strengths of the meta and become a better jungler over the course of time. This way, you become a better jungler as a whole. Not always necessarily, it's not black and white. But imagine now Riot Kinky Donuts shows up and says, hey, Elise, Rek'Sai, Jarvan, you've been meta for 2 patches. Footsec, get on out of here, I want to see a Chemtech meta. So I'm gonna buff the item, I'm gonna buff Hecarim, Udyr, and Skarner. As all junglers die of PTSD and new ones arise, they learn these champions and spam them to win as many games as possible. Farming and farming and farming and ending up 3 levels ahead and then killing everyone with 14 CS per minute. Well, if you were a meta slave and meta abuser, you've now shifted, you're playing these 3 champions, you're spamming them to your heart's content, you're enjoying the free elo, you're getting a little bored but you don't need to be awake for it. But then Riot Kinky Donuts moves to the MMO team and all of a sudden they've promoted the one and only Riot No Safe Word, which all of a sudden means that they decided they love Gore Drinker assassin building metas. So we have the Taliyah, Kiana, Lee Sin, Gore Drinker abusers. And once more, our meta-abusing junglers swap the train, pick up those champions, and of course abuse the fact that they're strong. What is the end result of this? Well, they've learned 3 different styles of jungling. If you had a one-trick pony, you just know how to match up with it, you learn how your champion works around this meta, and you do as best you can. Sometimes you thrive, sometimes you die. If you had a custom champion pool and you like to choose your mains based upon sort of weird metrics like thematics or simply playstyle, you really didn't pick up on these champions, well, you'd have a suboptimal champion pool, but you'd have to figure out the best way to get through the meta, and if you couldn't, then you simply wouldn't climb or you'd have a very difficult time doing so. In the end, meta champions and meta jungling typically has less weak points. That's what makes them meta, which means those are abusing them even if they don't know the champions fully or to their absolute utmost. they really don't need to because they can get away with so many things that most junglers cannot because, they're not meta. So ultimately, which can you say is the best? Well, that was kind of implied from the video title. There isn't really a straight answer to that because the answer to any of these videos is always yes. In this scenario, I would love to tell you that the meta one, the custom champion pool, is the best roundabout way to go through things, because you can then choose a champion based upon certain videos and metrics that are as close to the meta as possible. You can spam them like a one trick, you can match it well to meta champions, you can abuse the way to jungle in the meta, and then of course as things get buffed and nerfed and the meta shifts a little bit, you can always adapt your champion pool, but the goal is you approach every champion almost like you are a one trick, but you don't go so far as to play literally nothing else. Which, while it might enable you to reach challenge and other various high elo peaks, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a truly great player. Likewise, if you become a meta slave, you are definitely a better jungler than a lot of other people because you have to learn the extremes of certain metas, and then of course as those metas come around, you can readapt and you can pick up champions and drop them very quickly. Those who cannot pick up champions and drop them very quickly simply cannot be meta abusers. You struggle. So there is an inherent talent and understanding of how that works. Obviously playing the game more often than not really helps in this arena. But a way to become the most complete jungler is to find ones that are strong in the meta, just not OP, that you can move in and out and play like a one trick, such that over time when other champions come into the meta, say we re-loop back around to the Rek'Sai meta, all of a sudden you've had hundreds of games on her, you understand how to use her, you slap her back in the champion pool, and now you're applying the Rek'Sai to a different jungle meta, you're getting better at Rek'Sai, you're getting better at jungling, and the circle is complete. My best suggestion is to understand how you want to play the game, because not everyone wants to learn 20, 30, 40, 50, 1,000 champions. Some people don't want to pick champions just because they're strong, they just want to enjoy the kit and the thematics, such as myself. In essence, go ahead and watch the how to choose your champion video that I made. I made it for all roles, but I use a jungle bend just like this one. Then you go ahead and you watch the champion pool video and you try and construct a champion pool that either is very similar or has a bit of variety as you wish. You can sort of combine those videos. In order to learn those champions, you can watch the how to master any champion and how to use every role and class videos. I will link those as well. But in the end, it will come down to this particular video. Which one and which way would you like to play? If you simply picked a champion and you love it and you have a passion for it and you're never gonna drop it, be a one trick, no one cares. The only thing I would suggest is try and learn other roles. Put yourself in as many roles as possible. Strive to know that champion better than anyone else by sort of taking its knowledge and putting it in every single role and every single matchup. And just to be clear here, I'm not saying go jungle Janna or jungle Braum, I'm just saying pick the roles in which they can actually be somewhat viable, don't totally troll it up, and understand where the champion's limits lie. But if you want to be a meta abuser, this is pretty straightforward. Simply look up a guide on the champions that are strong in the meta, play them, and when it shifts, play those. You don't really have to think much about it, and honestly, you should have a much easier time climbing. But the custom champion pool people, that's where things get different, because sometimes you might have champions you simply don't want to play. There might be a time in the league where the meta sucks and your champions just don't fit. Once more, that's why I suggest trying to swap roles and take the champions you do love into those roles to try and learn a different aspect of them. But ultimately, this is a semi-opinion piece with a bit of educational teachery stuff in there, so it does come down to personal preference. These are my very open and ranty thoughts on the subject. Hopefully it could help some of you just refine on what exactly you want from the game. And I hope the videos on this topic will enable you to not only have a great champion pool, but also to have a lot of fun learning the game and mastering it, whatever your goals might actually be, whether it's just fun with normals, fun and flex with friends, or Turbo Giga tryhard Smurf mode activation. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned something. Please do leave a like and of course subscribe as well. Please subscribe for heavy, hard-hitting educational videos, as well as some fluffy tier lists coming very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.